Now, I'm not really sure if the Liberals are still dedicated to their odd Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives are ultra mega bigoted, racist, evil people talking point anymore because they seem to have trailed off on that in recent days. They still sort of throw out the weird far right accusation for no reason. It falls flat. No one believes it. So they've seemingly moved on to a new one, and that is that you should be deeply afraid that the conservatives might actually cut spending in the federal government for a change. I don't know why they think this is going to work because maybe it works in an election like back in 2019 or maybe 2021 when the economy wasn't as bad as it is today and people could be sort of concerned about government services being cut. These days, though, you and I are both way too well aware of the fact that the Liberal government is burning money on nothing. There's so many departments in the government that have gotten bloated. There's so many programs and initiatives that you could cut them down 100%. Nobody would miss them. And all it was doing was creating jobs for bureaucratic friends of the Liberal government. It's just make work programs for people with degrees that they shouldn't have gotten in the first place. But I just want to go through now just the unhinged amount of posting that the Liberals have been doing, claiming that the Conservatives are wanting cuts in all these very sort of sympathetic areas of government. And before I get into this, basically the game is that they know the Conservatives want to cut things. The Conservatives are very upfront with the fact that they want to cut things. So now the Liberals are going to pretend as if every single thing that the Conservatives want to cut are only things that most people would agree that maybe you could have some money in that. But what they're going to do is they're going to claim because the Conservatives in this past month voted against expansions to spending in these areas, well, that must mean that they want cuts in those areas. So without further ado, these are in no particular order, but there's a ton of them. I think it started in early December. So the Liberals 7 hours ago said, just this month, Pierre Poilievre and his Conservatives voted to cut clean technology investment and create middle-class jobs for Canadians. We'll continue standing up for Canadians, stopping Conservative cuts. Well, you're not stopping Conservative cuts. You're the government, and the Conservatives do not have votes to do anything. They are just merely opposing you guys because either you're subsidizing broken industries like the EV industry, which every middle-class job you're creating is just a make-work program job. Nobody is buying these EVs in great numbers that justifies EV factories in Canada. And I would say that this is also an issue with Doug Ford's Conservative government in Ontario. He is very much the pro-subsidy kind of conservative. It's dumb. You're creating fake jobs. But again, with all of the claiming that the Conservatives are pushing for cuts, the Conservatives aren't putting up bills pushing for cuts. The Conservatives keep holding up Liberal legislation saying, hey, we'll stop holding this stuff up because we know you guys can pass it anyways, but we will make it as excruciating as possible unless you put a 3-year pause, just like heater oil and Maritimes, if you put a 3-year pause on the carbon tax on all home heating. I don't even think they ask for it for like gasoline at gas stations. They're being very mild on the Liberals, proving that the Liberals are so radical, they won't even remove the carbon tax on home heating, something that people need to survive. Anyways, but here's another one. And so it says, just this month, and it's pretty much always the same tweet, but a different subject. Just this month, Pierre Poilievre and his Conservatives voted to cut funding to support Atlantic Canadians recovering from Hurricane Fiona. We'll continue standing up for Canadians and stopping Conservative cuts. With this spending, Hurricane Fiona happened a while ago. It wasn't like, 4 years ago, but it wasn't that long ago. A lot of disaster aid ends up just becoming, again, make work program type stuff from the Liberal government, creating fake jobs, putting money towards Liberal initiatives that have nothing to do with Hurricane Fiona. And again, they didn't vote against this. They held it up saying, please remove the carbon tax so that people like in the Maritimes who don't use heater oil might be able to live a little bit easier. Third one, just this month, Pierre Poilievre and his Conservatives voted to cut investment for students in post-secondary education. We'll continue standing up for Canadians and stopping Conservative cuts. Another one. Just this month, Pierre Poilievre and his Conservatives voted to cut funding to ensure Indigenous people benefit from major natural resource projects. We'll continue standing up for Canadians, stopping Conservative cuts. Aren't the Liberals the ones who keep blocking and helping protesters block energy projects that are going on Indigenous lands, the projects that those same Indigenous people deeply want because they want those good paying jobs on their land? You guys are the ones who block them, like the tech mine, like the pipelines, like passing dumb bills to protect just like everything in BC as, I guess, some sort of like heritage site or some sort of like protected ecological zone. It's nuts. But no, it's the conservatives who are trying to attack Indigenous people, not letting them get jobs. I now I'm just feeling like what is it, DJ Khaled or whatever, another one. Just this month, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives voted to cut support for small businesses and women entrepreneurs. We'll continue standing up for Canadians, stopping conservative cuts. Okay, the one thing I have a bit of a problem here with, more than just the lie that the Conservatives are voting against any of this stuff, is why specifically for support for female entrepreneurs. I find that's the most sexist thing in the world. That the Liberals are basically coming up to Canadians saying, women aren't good at business, so we need to give women more money or tax breaks or whatever so that they can compete. And the thing is, I obviously don't think that's true. And I think that a lot of people are struggling to start businesses, men and women, because of liberal regulatory and tax regimes. And this would also apply to provincial governments, whether they're conservative, NDP, or liberal, or whatever they have in Quebec, that it's government regulations and taxes that are making it hard to be a small business owner. I've talked about this before. Canada, to my chagrin, is heavily becoming a subsidy economy. Unless you can get a special tax break, regulatory kind of waiver that you don't have to follow certain rules, or the government just flat out invests money into you the way that they're doing with EV factories, then you're going to be absolutely grinding it out every day to not go bankrupt. Unless you are a long time established business, and even many of those are going under, unless you are a long time established business, it's really hard to break into the market these days because of just the high costs that are above you. So everyone knows when you start a business, it's like sometimes 2 to 3 years before you actually cut yourself a real check as a business owner. And so when we see, so really these days, it's more like 5 to 6 years where you're not going to be able to pay yourself because of just the crazy amount of government imposed costs on you. Anyways, it wasn't just the Liberals who got into this. It's also the NDP, because as much as the NDP pretends that they are not stooges for the Liberal Party, they are. They are completely bankrupt as a party. Their polling sucks, and their leader is horrible at this. So they're just modeling all of the same Liberal talking points, but adding a little bit more of a NDP socialistic spin to it. So it's not just that Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives are voting for cuts. Oh, God forbid. But they're also trying to give money to billionaires and millionaires. They're not actually trying to give them any money, but the NDP considers taxing someone less like a giveaway. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. They're socialists, and they believe that anyone who has money, that money belongs to the public in some way. But here's what the NDP put out. While Pierre and his Conservatives voted to cut and go gut funding that would help Canadians, Jagmeet and the NDP delivered results that will make life more affordable. And then it lists a bunch of things that like Poilievre either didn't actually vote against, or it's a ridiculously bloated program that most Canadians could probably get behind cutting. Universal dental is a ridiculous program. Most people have dental insurance. The people who do not have dental insurance are not exactly hurting because they don't have dental insurance. Getting a dental procedure when you don't have insurance is not that much. Have you ever gotten your teeth cleaned? It's like $100. Yeah, it's not cheap, but this is not exactly the top concern for Canadians. And the fact that Canadians are probably going to be having to pay at least around $100 a year now in order to pay for this universal dental, it was not worth it at all. And all the people who had insurance now look like complete fools because they paid for insurance for their dental care every single year, and now they also have to pay for everyone else's dental care at the same time. Another NDP post. So this one says Pierre Poilievre's record shows that he's working to defend his corporate coalition. He voted against Indigenous children. No, he didn't. He voted against a suicide prevention hotline. No, he didn't. He voted against school lunch programs for children. Also, what the NDP and the Liberals are doing, which is really funny because they can pass anything they want, but they're so insecure. They've been packaging a lot of these sort of different aspects of like policies into the same bill in order to make it look like the Conservatives are voting against these things, when it's that the Conservatives voted against a bill that implied 15 different things that were going to happen, and they didn't like 5 of them. And the Liberals and Conservatives, or Liberals NDP now, are like, the Conservatives hate Indigenous people and women. I know it's just very gross politics, but it's just how it works. Oh, I also skipped over this one though. The Liberals also kept posting these weird Christmas things about, well, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives have gotten you cuts for Christmas, even though, again, the Conservatives aren't in government. They haven't cut a single thing, and I'm going to get to it in a bit. Canadians are not actually against cuts in any way. Here's the last NDP post. Pierre Poilievre and his corporate-controlled Conservatives love to take from working Canadians and give to their wealthy friends. We're fighting back. What do they mean by corporate controlled? Corporate or individual donate every year. There's a pretty low maximum that you're allowed to give in Canadian politics. And so are they corporate controlled because some people donate to them? Union members donate to them. Union members are almost pressured to donate to the NDP. Are the NDP a union trade unionist controlled party? Well, they would deny that. No, they're independent. They speak for Canadians. Maybe it's that everyone actually kind of just speaks for Canadians and their own ideology. I hate the sniping that goes on in politics as if I'm the only honest man left in Ottawa. I don't take corporate money. You guys all take donor money. Everyone takes donor money. There's nothing wrong with that. But anyways, I want to get to, hopefully I'm not seeming like I'm rambling here, but I want to get to the main point about cuts in Canada in general. Canadians do not actually care if the Conservatives want to cut things, because every single person in this country could name off the top of their head 10 programs that would be fine to cut. HR in government, DEI programs, maybe tampons and pads in men's washrooms. I think a lot of Canadians get behind that. Maybe we could cut the stupid gun buyback program. Maybe we could cut the media subsidies. Maybe we could cut the entire CBC budget. Maybe we could cut all the investment into foreign environmental initiatives and education initiatives, things that we have no oversight on. Maybe we could cut funding to Hamas because we keep giving money to charities in Gaza, which are basically effectively run by Hamas. Maybe we could cut money that goes to other sorts of activist groups, nonprofit organizations that promote left-wing ideology, and maybe we could cut funding to any post-secondary institution that doesn't actually stand up for free speech. But I guess I want to cut university education. I don't care about university education now, according to Liberals. No, I care about the Constitution, the Charter. I care about actually having free speech in our institutions, freedom of expression. But I guess having standards means that because I want to cut money because I have standards, I want to hurt Canadians. As if any of this stuff is benefiting any Canadian. Bloated government budgets do not benefit Canadians, but the government acts like it's more important than it is because it contributes so much to the GDP. It doesn't actually. It takes your money through you from legitimate and illegitimate forms of taxation. When I say illegitimate, I mean taking more money way past the point where the government needs it for basic services and things that Canadians actually need. And the government gets to pretend we're a massive contributor to the economy because it taxes people's money and spends it on garbage. And what the Liberals wouldn't even cut a program if it was just burning money in a barrel. Basically, the Liberals are complaining that the Conservatives want to cut the barrel burning program. Think of all the jobs of people shoveling money into a barrel and burning it. The Conservatives don't care about those good, clean, middle-class jobs. This is pretty much all that's going on here. The cuts narrative is not going to work because every Canadian thinks that the government spends too much money. There are going to be people who are already on board with the Liberals and the NDP who will parrot these talking points, but most people know that the Conservatives aren't going to cut roads. They're not going to cut CPP. They're not, the Liberals are pretending the Conservatives are going to push your grandmother down the stairs. They do this every election, and it is the most conspiratorial thing ever. That the Conservatives secretly want to cut healthcare spending. They secretly want to cut the police budget, military budget. They secretly are a bunch of anarcho-capitalists who want to get rid of all government spending completely. That's not what's going to happen, and everyone knows it. Anyways, that's it for me today. Sorry about the long rambling rant, but that's just sometimes what you get out of me in a given day. But just to quickly plug, I have a Give, Send, Go link in the description of this video. I'm still being sued by a billionaire. It's cost me $25,000 to fight back on behalf of myself and the National Telegraph against this very silly defamation suit. It's completely frivolous. He's just racking up the lawyer hours to see if he could bankrupt me. It's not working. I've been able to nickel and dime my way to be able to pay for all this stuff. We're getting to the point where I think he actually might drop the case. Who knows? But other than that, I'm also running for the Calgary Signal Hill Conservative Party nomination. So if you live in Calgary Signal Hill, check out the link in the description of this video, wyattclaypool.com. You can go check out my priorities, my platform. If you like me, hopefully you'll like me enough to buy a membership and vote. Your entire household, 14 years old and older, can buy memberships and vote. So if you could rank me number 1 on your ballot, if you live in Calgary Signal Hill, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you don't live in Calgary Signal Hill, make sure you know what riding you live in. It's very important for you to be able to engage in politics better, that you can name where you live, who your representatives are in your provincial riding, your federal riding, and your ward. Because I find so much time, so often in Canada, bad things happen because people don't even know the basic riding they live in. They don't know the ward that they live in. They don't know who their elected officials are. So there's no ability for them to hold any of them accountable. But other than that, I'll see you guys later. Might do a live stream tonight, might not. I think I made that promise yesterday and I failed to deliver. But hopefully I'm not lying this time.